Thank you, Rasmus. And I need to. There's a lot of things here, and I got a feeling about this IT department, of course. But we talked about in the beginning about the email marketing system and the MA system and the difference maybe, and also of course when a topic got hot like MA, all the email vendors say that now they have a marketing automation system, and so that is not that easy if you're going to buy one, right? To understand the differences really. So, I mean, what is the definition, or how do you really see the difference between an old email marketing system, maybe with a little bit more ambitions, and an MA system, truly MA system? Could you say that?
Yeah,
quickly?
That's a good question. So I think first of all, email vendors or ESPs, as they're also referred to, if they apply automated email, well, it's an email automation system and not necessarily marketing automation. So marketing should be considered more wide. Because as we know, all consumers are already using all channels all the time. So if we want to accommodate that and really reach out to the customers where they are, we should be using more channels. And the most cost efficient are the ones on owned media. Email is still a killer there. App notifications, big upcoming channel there. Really the outbound channels, text messaging also, even direct mail for some, to some extent, quite expensive though. And really bridging that into paid media as well, making sure that when you are exposing audiences to paid media, when you are using your ad spend, that you are utilizing your first party data in order to make sure that you reach the right persons.
Okay.
So marketing automation systems should encompass, if not all of them, then most of them.
So that is maybe one of the important definitions, of course, with it.
Yeah.
Do you want to add on something?
No, I'd agree. I mean, I would also say it's often around the data. So when we talk about organizations, obviously IT and marketing is a big thing, but then obviously the other side often is like customer support and sales. And they're all part of, in my world, marketing automation is about customer communications for any purpose. And so that's the channel, but then it's also getting the data from the different systems so that you can control that customer life cycle, at least be aware of that customer life cycle no matter where you're talking to. So it's around data and the channels and the collaboration and processes within the organization as well.
Okay. Daniel, do we have questions from the audience?
Yeah, we do. We actually got one just at the end of Joe's segment. And that question is, what do you think makes some industries, such as retail and banking, more responsive to this perfect storm than others?
Ooh, are they more? Well, so I think the retail one was obvious. The pandemic did bring a whole heap of things up to a head where a lot of retailers for a long time had been sitting on the fence about online or offline. And the pandemic just meant there was no choice. If you didn't move online or put more resources into online, you were not going to be in business at the end of, this 2-year period. I think banking has had different pressures because essentially the old traditional banks were used to having a captive audience. And essentially we've got all these new players, and this has happened in retail as well when you see things like ASOS and these kind of online, and Boohoo, these online only organizations have been stealing their lunch. They've been coming with way better service, way better online and app experience, and essentially the big retailers, the big banks have started to realize that they're losing their customer data, which is meaning they can't be responsive to their customers, which means they lose more customers when they should be able to offer the best solutions. They've got all the data about life cycle and customers. They've had customers for 20 or 30 years. They should be ideally situated to do this kind of automation. But, legacy systems, organizational silos, just sheer bloody mindedness of I don't want to change what I've been doing.
Fear of failure.
Huge. Particularly in banking, it's been a very strong thing that if you fail to do something, IT will basically execute you and you won't get any more budget. So this whole fear of doing anything new, fear of failure, fear of being seen to fail has been a huge blocker. The other one that I see particularly is it's all about the metrics. It's all about how you get measured. Retail's a key one. The biggest blocker to online adoption has been that, the stores complain because the attribution is lousy and they lose the metrics that mean that their store can stay open. The customer wants a store. They want the actual physical presence and they want the online, they don't give a crap about how you do attribution internally, but we do first click or last click attribution. They're cannibalizing off each other's sales. So instead of the whole organization working saying, what the hell do our customers want, they're fighting each other because they're trying to maintain their budgets, their empire, their relevance. They're fighting like cats in a sack rather than trying to make the customer experience as good as it can be.
Good. Do you want to add something there, or?
Well, I think there's a huge difference between industries. So, the ones that I find embracing the omnichannel marketing automation in the best way, it may not be like a particular industry, but I think it's a particular business model. So the ones who have more of a subscription-based business model as opposed to a transactional-based business model tend to more easily think in terms of customer life cycles and customer journeys and moments of truth and churn prevention and such. So they'd be more inclined to be also going back to the thing about metrics. So they'll be more inclined to be measuring on customer metrics as opposed to channel-based metrics, which is really one of the things that I mean, if all the customers are omni-channel and you want to make sure that you have success, you should be measuring on something omni-channel as well, namely the customer. So customer metrics as opposed to channel metrics. Nordstrom, one of the biggest department store chains in North America, actually changed the way they were reporting from sales per square foot. Can you imagine? Like in a COVID lockdown and you're measuring sales per square foot. I mean, it doesn't work, obviously. So they changed that into how many customers do we have? How much are we selling per customer? If we apply these things and these new digital initiatives, how much are we then selling per customer? Are we double Xing, triple Xing the amount of money that we're making per customer? So,
of course, metrics is very important and understanding the way you discuss the business.
Yeah, especially when no one is caring about revenue, and I'm shocked to see that. Really, I mean, people forget what their role is. Why are we put on earth?
Yeah. But in that coming back to that poll, actually, also the cost saving was low, and I just wanted to ask you that because. I mean, when I talk to companies, they say, I mean, the marketing automation has done that we hired a lot of more people and it's a bigger organization. But is it possible to think cost saving in the area?
No.
No?
No. The sad thing about marketing automation is that it doesn't automate itself. So this is yet another discipline. And if coming back to, remember from my presentation with the bow tie was completely folded out. So to the left you had all the campaign parts. All the things that was following the 4 seasons and the seasonal campaigns and where you do like broad segmentation. If you then that's something that you still have to be doing. So, and the bad news is that you still have to do mass marketing. You still need to be acquiring new customers. You still need to be getting in front of people with whom that you have no relation yet. So you still need to do all the stuff that you did before. But then you couple that with the extra life cycle based marketing, which is really marketing automation. That's all the automated stuff. Some refer to the campaigns as automation as well. But really the automation is what goes on with the customer life cycle. When you are able to reach these customers in the specific moment of truth with greater success, this is where you get the most profit. And this is automated. This will incrementally increase the amount of money that you'll be making from your marketing automation system.
And I think you
need to do both. That's the issue.
And I think that is, I mean, that when you say that, it's very important, I believe, to do that, actually, really do both. Not only the personalization, because then it's maybe narrow and narrow and narrow. And
exactly.
You have a question, Daniel?
Yeah, just one last there. For you both, I guess. How would you guys describe the term hyper-personalization? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, I think so the clients that we have that are doing this best, I think they're actually getting pretty close. Hyper-personalization is dangerous because it can also get you fired, because you can end up narrowcasting too much and you'll be reaching too few people. You might have conversion rates of 10x or whatever, but you'll be reaching so few people that people will, like the CEO will be pointing at your results and laugh. So that's not where you want to go. So basically you want to get system support and make it right and do it more efficiently. And I believe that especially in the Nordics, where we have fairly small customer databases, like the system support and the ones who are really doing it well here, they are doing it extremely efficiently. Taking that into the broader markets and the bigger customer databases is probably as close as you can get to hyper-personalization as you want. But don't be too altruistic about it. This is not about becoming friends with the customer. Yeah, if it makes money, that's fine. But really, it's about driving revenue and sales through relevance, but don't overinvest.
I would definitely, I mean, I see that as the vendor. when I hear someone talk about hyper-personalization, they're normally looking for magic. And a lot of the time there isn't I mean, think of it, when you have a conversation normally, it's not really to a complete purpose. And when I hear hyper-personalization, it's like we need to get that sale. So everything is about, how do I drive to that conversion? It's like they want to use up-to-the-minute data. They want to use all the data. It's all next best action. That's an exhausting conversation to have as the person on the receiving end of it. And generally speaking, it's usually somebody who they don't necessarily have very well-defined strategies, and they've just decided hyper-personalize. They've maybe got old school, they've been doing lots of spray and pray type marketing, and they want to get to perfect, and they think hyper-personalization is perfect. They're not even doing the basics well. So to me, hyper-personalization normally means somebody probably doesn't quite understand what their job is when I'm talking to people like that.
Or they're losing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's continue. And now we have a poll. So now it's time for you to actually answer. The question we have is, do you have specific marketing automation roles within your organization? Let's see. We have first the last year's result. We will see that soon in the recording. Yeah, here. So the result from last year is, do you have dedicated marketing automation roles within your organization? 34% say yes, we have that. And 36% say yes, but only one person. And then some say no. And 39% say, 29% say no, we don't have any at the moment anyway. So, and let's see what we have as a result from this year then. I tell you here in the studio, and you two, you don't see that. Let's see, there it is.
You're keeping secrets for us.
Absolutely. So yes, we have several employees dedicated to marketing automation, is 36%. It's getting there more and more, maybe as a department, more than one person. I also think that is important, but because if one person leave, then maybe you stop doing this MA. Yes, but only one person says 31%. And no, but we are looking to hire people with marketing automation competence is 8%. And no, we don't have anyone, and not planned 25%.
I think you'll have great success with the education that you are proposing.
It's needed.
It's totally needed, yeah. That's what's preventing our clients from really succeeding. I mean, they simply don't have the skills, and they don't have the resources either. So really putting that together.
And we see actually interesting, because we have this open course, but the certification training, but more and more companies coming and say, could we do that at home in our office for several people? And I believe actually that is the really good value when you do it and share a platform, share names and nomenclatures and definitions and so on. You agree?
Totally. Yes.
But
so we have for this specific matter, actually we have for all our clients, we put together quite thorough and extensive e-learning programs. So that will take you to a certain level, and then of course from then on you need to apply it to your own business. It doesn't come by itself, and many like seasoned marketers have only been used to ever doing the seasonal campaigns. So they're like in a campaign mindset. Really getting them away from that into talking about automation and customer lifecycle can be kind of a mind-boggling thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they need to be brainwashed lightly.
And if you think about having a department, what kind of roles and competencies do you need then?
Well, I mean, I think often I'm seeing more and more emphasis on cross-functional teams. So that's partly, so you need someone who's at least data literate, not necessarily data scientists, but they need to be data literate. When we start talking about segmentation and personas, at least with my customers, I'm seeing a move away from personas, but that kind of idea of who we're trying to target, a content specialist. You do need someone who's technical, preferably somebody who can talk to the IT department, because there's a lot that gets lost in translation there. But then also to the revenue point, I would normally expect there to be some kind of way to report up, to get the business goals be handed down, and to do the feedback loops. I think in your bow tie, that's like one of the biggest things I see, particularly when the IT department is too strong. You lose all the feedback loops and that's the enemy of automation. How can you automate anything when you don't know what you've done, so you can measure what you've done, so you can automate it for the future? So we're creating discontinuity. So I think understanding that there is a flow going on is a kind of cross organizational skill, and it's the one that's probably the education is needed, because people have become very used to working in their silos. But the skills from a techie point of view, maybe the data stuff is becoming more prominent, but it's not that different. I think it's more this understanding of where you fit into an entire process, and an awareness that if I'm an email marketer, it's not good enough that I say I'm not responsible for the web. And the web can't tell you I'm not responsible for anything. It's more of an understanding that the whole organization has to work together.
We're seeing different glass ceilings that you have to break through in order to really excel with this. One of them is on the decisioning part, and really making sure that you are not only looking into seasonal campaigns, but you're in fact also applying the automation, and even to a point where you're using algorithms or self-learning, self-optimizing AI. So that's of course one spectrum of. The other one is how you handle your content. And really this needs to be addressed not in a per channel way, but really the orchestration of content needs to be on an omni-channel level as well. So your messages, your offers, your proposition needs to be managed centrally, or you can't scale across channels. You'll be running around in the hamster wheel, constantly updating and fixing things in order to make sure that everything is aligned. And you won't get the feedback loop either. So people will feel disconnected. They're just getting the same message over and over again, even though they already bought the sweater or whatever.
Yeah, we call it content velocity, and it's a hugely difficult problem to solve in most organizations, but it's absolutely key, particularly if you want to go towards hyper-personalization. That's normally the limiting factor. How do you generate enough content to feed a hyper-personalization machine? And it takes an entire army to do that, or really good systems and AI.
It's the core of the bow tie.
Yeah.
Okay, it's soon break, but before we have the break, we will do the last poll for now, and that is if you remember the 7 key trends that Joe talked about. We have them here. We support you, of course, in remember them. So answer your which one is the biggest challenge is the question. Which one you believe is the biggest challenge? Don't do anything. Okay, so we're back again. Let's see the result, Daniel. I will check then. Do I see things here now? Okay, so and you see it there. It's only the studio people. I will tell you. The highest score with 27% is employees' experience and organizational change. I mean, what we answer is actually you believe the biggest challenge of the 7 trends. Employees' experience and organization. Oh, it's always that, isn't it? And second best is skills demand is changing. Okay, that's interesting. You go our training courses, of course. Change is accelerating, yeah, and the customer demands are increasing. I think that is a big thing. So, what is your comments?
I mean, I would agree. When I go into organisations at the moment, and it's a technical conversation, but I'm having to have that conversation of if you can't make organisational changes, there's no point in doing this techie thing. I just wrote a recommendation for a customer on that like 2 weeks ago with like big fat red flags of yes, you could do this and yes, you could do this. But if you don't make this and this change, you're going to fail, because you're going to, the team that you've currently got being successful despite the deficiencies of your organisation is not going to be able to make up these deficiencies in the new world they want to move towards. So I think, yes, it's always been a problem about organisational change, but I'm seeing a lot of people who've been talking about it for a long time, but they have not been living the change. It's like, well, we can kind of put lipstick on the pig, but we don't really change anything fundamental. And now that's really starting to hit people very hard. If you can't make those organisational changes, then stop talking a big story. It's not going to work. Marketing automation is changing. The silos have to break down.
Yep.
If that doesn't happen at an organizational level, there's no people, there's no technology in the world that's going to bring that up.
Last comment.
I'm not surprised
Yeah.
with results, really. So I think this relates back to actually where you started, Mats, talking about whether people have a marketing automation system in place already. And technology is ready. So it's up to us to utilize it. And that demands for change in our skill sets, in our mindsets, and ultimately in the customer experience.
Good. Last comment. Back to me. Could we? Thanks. And now it's time for break. We meet again at 10 o'clock. And don't forget, our life is to fix revenue for the companies, right? See you soon again. Don't miss Teleenergy and data management that we're going to talk about after break. See you soon again. Thank you.